Two of the world's richest persons are at the loggerheads over satellite spectrum allocation in India. Elon Musk, the CEO of Starlink, a satellite internet company, has locked horns with Mukesh Ambani, the chairman of Reliance Industries, over satellite spectrum allocation in India. Should the satellite broadband spectrum in India be auctioned or be allocated administratively? What's the view of the government of India on this, and how will it shape the satellite internet connectivity in India in the future? Let's discuss. Hello guys, I am Saurav and welcome to the Arc. So what is satellite internet and how is it different from the wired broadband connection that we use? In simple terms, the wired broadband provides you internet access via a cable connected to the router or modem, which is then connected to the internet service provider or ISP. Satellite internet, on the other hand, allows data transmission and reception via a compact dish located on Earth, which communicates with the satellite directly. A signal is sent to a satellite in space, which then comes back and captured by the satellite dish, installed atop the user's house with a clear view of the sky, and data is being sent back and forth between the dish and the satellite in space. This satellite dish is different from the TV satellite DTH dish in a way that the TV satellite dish can only receive signals from the satellite in space but can't send signals. Satellite internet dish, however, can both send and receive signals to and from the satellite in space. Most satellite internet services come from single geostationary satellites that orbit the planet at 35,786 kilometers. The size of this geostationary satellite is big, and because of the high altitude, they cover a large part of the Earth. But because of the higher altitude or the distance from the Earth, the latency is also higher, which is around 600 milliseconds. Latency is the amount of time it takes for a single piece of data to complete a round trip over a satellite connection. Due to the higher latency, activities like online gaming, streaming, video call, and other high data rate activities can get restricted. Starlink, on the other hand, is a constellation of thousands of satellites that orbit the planet much closer to Earth at about 550 kilometers and cover the entire globe. As Starlink satellites are in a much lower orbit in LEO as opposed to the GEO, latency is significantly lower, around 20 milliseconds. The Starlink satellites are also much smaller in size, with a compact flat panel design. But how does one get internet from these satellites? The Starlink kit comes with a satellite dish, which Elon Musk calls Dishy McFlat Face or simply Dishy, a Wi-Fi router, cables, and a base. It's easy to install as the Dishy self-orients towards the satellite and connects in minutes as long as it has a clear view of the sky. As of November 2024, there are about 6,700 Starlink satellites in orbit, and Starlink plans to eventually have more than 42,000 satellites in space. The first 60 Starlink satellites were launched on May 23, 2019, aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The satellites successfully reached their operational altitude at about 550 kilometers. Starlink is not the only player to have LEO satellite constellations for satellite internet. Amazon's Project Kuiper also plans to deploy thousands of satellites to create its own satellite-based broadband service soon. As many as 83 launches are planned over the next 5 years. The biggest advantage of satellite internet over terrestrial broadband are the reliability, ease of use, and availability of internet services even at the remotest places on Earth, where terrestrial broadband services are unavailable. Though the latency of the satellite internet services can at times be higher than the terrestrial broadband networks, they can cover vast areas without the need of installing much physical equipment. Also, satellite internet network is believed to be more resilient with respect to harsh weather conditions and natural disasters, which is a huge advantage for the end users, such as homes and businesses. Now coming back to our discussion on the battle of the billionaires over satellite spectrum allocation in India. In India, the Telecommunications Act 2023 deals with the spectrum allocation for satellite-based services, but the confusion is whether spectrum be allocated via auctions or should it be allocated administratively. Now companies like Mukesh Ambani's Jio and Sunil Bharti Mittal's Airtel also provide wireless internet services in India with FWA. The 5G powered FWA or fixed wireless access is similar to satellite internet in a sense that in FWA, the user places an antenna outside their home, communicating with the nearest BTS tower to access the internet. Like our mobile phones too, as FWA uses advanced 5G technology, it has low latency, higher speed and lower data cost. FWA provides internet speeds ranging from 100 Mbps to 1 Gbps, whereas satellite internet speeds are somewhere between 12 to 200 Mbps. Indian domestic telecom companies are using the 5G spectrum won in auctions to provide FWA services. That's why they are asking the government to go for the auctions route, even for the satellite internet spectrum, as both of them will compete in the same space, albeit using different technologies. The concerns of domestic telecom companies are genuine, because more than 96% of the 650,000 villages in the country are covered with 4G or 5G services, which means mobile broadband. The Indian telecom companies have invested heavily in creating this infrastructure, and that's why they fear competition in this space. On the other hand, according to Ericsson, India will end up with 85 to 100 million homes with 5G powered FWA by 2030, and the country will soon overtake the US, which has 6 million FWA broadband subscribers. Jio and Airtel, that started their FWA internet services about a year ago, already have more than 3 million FWA subscribers. KPMG has estimated in a recent report that the country's Satcom sector, which currently stands at $2.3 billion a year, will reach $20 billion by 2028. So for Elon Musk, whose Starlink has currently 4 million Satcom subscribers worldwide, the Indian market is not about connecting the unconnected, but it's about the huge business potential it offers. Though the domestic telcos are pushing for auction of spectrum, it's difficult to auction the satellite spectrum because spectrum for terrestrial mobile services is exclusive and is managed only by a single mobile operator in a given geographical area. Therefore, this cannot be shared between or amongst operators. But in the case of satellites, the same spectrum is non-exclusive and can be used by multiple satellite operators to serve the same geographical area. Hence, satellite spectrum is coordinated and managed by the International Telecommunication Union or ITU, a specialized agency of the United Nations. The US and Brazil tried the auction route, but have reverted to administrative allocation now. The global norm is satellite spectrum is allocated administratively to operators. In the first schedule of the Indian Telecommunications Act 2023, under section 44 of the Act, it mentions that telecom spectrum shall be assigned administratively for entries listed in the first schedule, which means assignment of spectrum without holding an auction. The Department of Telecommunications has asked the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India or TRAI to come up with a methodology to assign the spectrum. Union Communications Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia also recently clarified that spectrum for satellite communication would be allocated administratively rather than through an auction.
The Telecom Act of 2023, which was passed in December of last year, has very clearly put this in Schedule 1, which means that for SATCOM, spectrum will be allocated administratively. That does not mean that spectrum does not come without a cost. What that cost is and what the formula of that costing is going to be will not be decided by you or me, it will be decided by TRAI. Satellite spectrum across the world is allocated administratively. So India is not doing anything different from the rest of the world. So I think there are a number of issues that go into making that decision, which is why globally, all countries in the world have followed a certain model. And India is doing pretty much the same.
Elon Musk is upbeat about the developments, but the final call is yet to be taken, and how will it be implemented is yet to be seen. With Starlink deploying 42,000 satellites and Amazon Kuiper's plan to launch satellites with 1000 Gbps capacity, we can expect huge competition in the satellite internet sector. Because of the very nature of the satellite internet space, and Elon Musk's SpaceX backing Starlink and launching satellites at low costs without breaking a sweat, they can compete with domestic telecom operators also in terms of pricing. Because of the enormous promise the sector holds, Indian telecom companies have also entered the satellite internet space. With Sunil Mittal's Airtel partnering with OneWeb and Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Jio partnering with Luxembourg-based Satcom player SES to provide satellite internet services across the world. Any form of competition is always good for the customers. You might remember with the launch of Jio, data prices came down significantly. But are there any national security issues associated with satellite-based internet? Recently, the Indian Coast Guard had a massive haul of 6,000 kg of methamphetamine from a boat in the Bay of Bengal. As per estimates, it was worth $4.25 billion, the biggest such seizure by India. Police have arrested 6 Myanmar nationals in the case. The smugglers apparently used Starlink's internet device that helped them in sea navigation. Superfast broadband almost anywhere on Earth, as Starlink claims. Indian police have sent a legal demand to Starlink seeking details of who purchased the device. So it's going to be a huge security issue if companies like Starlink don't comply with Indian laws. Secondly, satellite internet technology can be used to serve both civilian and military applications. With SpaceX and Starlink's close ties with the US government, there is also a possibility of surveillance and data interception. These are some genuine concerns regarding satellite internet services. How the Indian government overcomes these challenges and what plan TRAI comes up with regarding satellite internet services in India is yet to be seen. Thanks for watching. Keep following the ARC for more such informative videos.